The universe of Disney films is just astounding. Thinking of all the individual stories, heroic adventures, warm friendships, poignant love stories, and moments so grim and brutal that the dark imagery keeps you up at night. Yep, throughout the years, creators of Disney movies have taken us to some dark places. And today, we're going to revisit some of the darkest of the dark. Tissues? Check. Closet where you can hide? You got it. Drown out all those emotions, ice cream? You betcha. Okay, we're good to go.
I should never have left home.
I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and these are the top 10 darkest Disney movie moments. And a small note, we aren't including Pixar moments. We actually did a separate video for those, so check that out. Alright, let's get started.
Say that to my face, you limp noodle!
Number 10. Forest Monsters. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Our beloved young princess, Snow White, learns that the evil queen wants her killed. The hunter that warned her urges the princess to quickly run away, otherwise, her life might end very soon. Hearing about this really shook her up. When she runs to the woods, her anxiety and fear go through the roof, and the stress level reach heights that make her hallucinate all kinds of creepy beasts and awful monsters. As you see the tree branches morph into reaching hands, you know you won't walk in any forest alone for at least a few years to come. The imagery in this scene is terrifying to say the least. Number 9. Donkey Transformation. Pinocchio. Pleasure Island is a place that welcomes little boys, which, let's be real, is probably one of the creepiest sentences ever said. But there's candy, games, and so much more. Gross. Pinocchio could listen to his conscience, but he chooses to ignore it. And there are even cigarettes. Well, it's 1940 after all.
The black Cologne, the black Cologne!
But then something unexpected happens. He and his friend, Lampwick, play pool. And then Lampwick turns into a donkey. Pinocchio starts to transform as well. He grows a set of donkey ears and a tail. At some point, you fully realize that they pay for all the fun by being turned into donkeys that slave away in the mines until death. And that idea is unsettling to say the least.
So you can talk.
Yes, sir. I want to go home to my mama.
Number 8. Strange Trip, Dumbo. Could you imagine any of the leading characters getting accidentally drunk in a Disney movie today? Like, really drunk? Yeah, not really, right? But back in 1941, man, the 40s again? Dumbo did. And what makes it dark isn't him just getting wasted. Many fans believe that the alcohol in the bucket had been laced with some sort of a hardcore drug.
Here, take a trunkful.
And boy, does he start tripping, man! Dancing pink elephants and anxiety-inducing clowns. This scene was something that scared the living daylights out of kids when the movie originally hit the theaters. And it still does. This scene, resembling a twisted acid trip, has only one message. Kids, you should never do drugs. Alright. Number 7. Grabbed by Friends from the Other Side. The Princess and the Frog. Let's not gloss over the fact that there's a scene in The Princess and the Frog in which a character is literally dragged to, what I presume, is essentially hell.
No, please, no.
Dr. Facilier is one of the coolest villains around, but that doesn't change the fact that he's very, very evil. Watching him control his friends from the other side to get what he wants definitely meant that he deserved some payback, but to be dragged kicking and screaming into an unknown realm of evil horrors, it's horrifying because it leaves so much to your imagination. Number 6. Destroyed Village, Mulan. It's all fun and cheery when everybody's singing A Girl Worth Fighting For until they come across a demolished village. You can see the smoldering aftermath of the destruction. There are many details making the scene dark. We learn that Shang's father died, and then there's this little doll in the snow. For some reason, it was saved from the fire. While it may not seem much, this doll is a truly dark symbol. The windswept hair and the deep dark eyes represent the fear and sadness that the people in the village experienced before death. It also indicates that children were obviously present. While the whole scene isn't especially graphic, it's still brutal, and the jump made from a happy march to the annihilation of a whole village really gets you. A rare Disney scene that explores the brutality of war. Number 5. Clayton's Death, Tarzan. Tarzan contains one of the most hauntingly dark moments in a Disney movie, and it's not even over a character that you care for. The sequence shows a crazy chase between Tarzan and Clayton. Our hero tries to capture Clayton and runs after him in the thick jungle. There's a raging storm in the background. The rain and darkness just adds extra tension to the scene. Actually, Clayton's got a shotgun, but Tarzan manages to wrestle the gun away from him.
Go ahead, shoot me.
But that won't stop Clayton. He takes out a machete and begins to chase Tarzan, but the jungle has really dense vegetation. Now both of them get stuck in these dense vines. Clayton has completely lost his cool. He hacks the vines surrounding him to reach Tarzan, but he doesn't see that one of the vines has wrapped around his neck. He manages to slash every single vine, but, of course, not the one that could end his life. And then it happens. He falls to his death. We don't see his hanged body. Instead, we are facing his lifeless silhouette. I mean, that's not disturbing. I'd argue this is one of the most brutal shots in the history of Disney animated films. A corpse dangling lifelessly as the rain pours down. Thunder and lightning crackling as the machete hits the ground. An absolutely brutal moment. Number 4. Bambi's Mother. Bambi. Bambi is Disney's 5th animated classic, and to celebrate this milestone, they made one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in a Disney movie. Like, ever. Doesn't seem so bad at first. Bambi and his mother happily chew on some grass in the meadow, just like deer do. But his mom senses something is wrong. Whoa, there must be a hunter nearby, maybe even too close. They start to flee, trying to save their lives by reaching the safety that the forest provides. But then something happens. Bang! The next thing you know, Bambi's out there, all alone in the forest. He's calling out for his mother, but there's no point anymore. Clearly, the hunter's sight didn't fail him. The mother is dead. This scene has traumatized so many kids over the years, starting from August 9th, 1942, the 40s again. Yeah, that was a world premiere in London. I found no records on how many kids sought therapy after Bambi, let alone the number of kids and adults crying after being subjected to this harrowing scene, but I'm sure there are plenty. Number 3. The Horned King, The Black Cauldron. The Black Cauldron is a less-known Disney classic animation from the 80s. You could say the whole thing is one big dark moment in Disney movie history. It's really a pitch-black story. It's about a scary character called the Horned King. He's trying to get his hands on the magical Black Cauldron that would allow him to enslave the entire world. Just looking at the guy is terrifying. He has glowing red eyes and a skeletal body, and if that wasn't enough, he has a deep, spooky voice. It's the stuff that gives all the kids nightmares. Even the bravest ones aren't protected from this scary villain entering their dreams. There's one moment in the movie that really deserves a 3rd place on this list. The young protagonists, Princess Islandway and Tarzan, are held in the evil king's dungeon. This place is full of hideous, rotting corpses. The king uses these dead bodies to raise an army of the undead.
Arise, my messengers of death. Our time has arrived.
And later, there's a disturbing death scene. The Horned King is pulled into the magic cauldron, which makes the skin tear away from his bones. Yeah, so after seeing this movie, you'll know exactly why this one made the 3rd place on our list. Number 2. Frollo killing Quasimodo's mother. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Judge Claude Frollo is one of the most despised villains in Disney history. While there have been many monsters in the movies, what makes Frollo so unsettling is his cruelty.
When your heartless mother abandoned you as a child, anyone else would have drowned you.
And he's not some fictional creature. Frollo is a real human being, one that in many ways represents the evil that exists in the real world. In the movie, there's a sequence that shows Frollo killing Quasimodo's mother. She's left in a puddle of blood in front of Notre Dame. He tries to ditch the little Quasimodo in a well. Someone stops Frollo, and during the confrontation he says, "This is an unholy demon. I'm sending it back to hell, where it belongs." Good God, that is some medieval level brutality right there.
I'm sending it back to hell, where it belongs.
The evil of Frollo is especially interesting and dark, given his only reason to spare the child in the scene is his fear for his own immortal soul. Killing a mother and nearly drowning her infant in a well is definitely something especially dark for a children's movie. Number 1. Mufasa's death, The Lion King. The Lion King is an indisputable Disney legend, and it's also legendary because it has one of the darkest moments in Disney history. Simba's evil uncle, Scar, sent wildebeest to stampede on him, and it's Mufasa to the rescue. Now you almost think that he rescued Simba and everything's just fine, until he's hanging on the edge of the cliff, just digging his claws into solid rock, and you're left praying for his life. Then, Scar enters the scene. He forces his claws into his own brother's paws. Mufasa falls to his death, and Scar has enough time to cough up a mocking, "Long live the king," before Mufasa dies.
Long live the king.
Now, if that wasn't enough, we'll see Simba reaching his dad's body. He tries to awaken Mufasa, to no avail. Simba cries and huddles together with his dad's body that clearly has no life in it anymore. Scar tries to convince Simba that he's at fault. The son killed his own father. There are surely some traumatic themes to be explored in a movie for the whole family. The betrayal, death, and despair in this scene make it the darkest moment in Disney movie history.
And if it weren't for you, he'd still be alive.
Now, we weren't sure if this should be number 1 on the list because, frankly, it would probably be number 1 in terms of saddest moments as well. But it's also tremendously dark and totally notorious. There's a reason why it's one of the most iconic scenes from arguably the most iconic era of Disney animation. But what's the darkest Disney moment that you can think of? Did it make our list? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. But most importantly, stay wicked.